It's time for an inside look at the most powerful motorsport on the planet. WFO Radio, NHRA Nitro.
It's the most exciting sport on earth as far as I'm concerned.
Take a walk through the Nitro pits as we go one-on-one with the stars of drag racing.
Hi, I'm Courtney Forrest.
I'm Tony Schumacher.
Hey, you're with Matt Hagan. This is Ron Capps, Matt Hagan's personal friend. You're on WFO.
Featuring the NHRA's Alan Reinhart.
Our events are truly an experience. They're not just a spectator event. They are an experience.
So get in, sit down, and hold on with host Joe Costello as he goes WFO.
Thanks, brother. Always love being on WFO, baby. Nobody brings it to you better than you, brother.
Now crank it up. It's time to go WFO. Here's your host, Joe Costello.
What's up, WFO Radio listeners? Welcome back to WFO Radio NHRA Nitro. I'm Joe Costello, and we've got a winner's edition. That's right. The DENSO Sparkplugs NHRA Nationals Mellow Yellow Series winners are going to be on this show. That means Antron Brown, 300 wins for Don Schumacher Racing, beats Tony Schumacher in the final round. They had back-to-back finals, and one has gone each way. Antron Brown, who is also the new co-host for Top Gear America on BBC, going to be on the show. Also, we've got AB, we've got TJ, Tommy Johnson Jr., Make-A-Wish Foundation Dodge gets win number 299. We're going to talk to Tommy about the hot start that they have at the start of 2017. Tommy Johnson Jr. fans, get ready. TJ is coming up just minutes from now. And Tanner Gray, the youngest winner in the history of NHRA Mellow Yellow Drag Racing. Think about it. 17 years old. Tanner Gray, Gray Motorsports, beat both the Summit cars, beat all three KB cars. Tanner Gray going to be on the show. We've got all three Mellow Yellow Series winners queued up and ready to go, but I want to tell you about who is making this show possible for all of us right here. Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School, the Dragster Adventure. We're going to tell you about it. Check it out. Go to frankhawley.com. Rodax, coffeeandgrills.com. Gourmet coffee, hot sauce, spice rub, everything good. That's Rodax. The School of Automotive Machinists and Technology, samtech.edu. Education at full speed. John Hale's Best of Texas Barbecue Sauce. You heard John on the show last week. Go to bestoftexasbbqsauce.com. Order some. You will love it. Race Day Score, Drag Racing Edge Magazine, Extreme Velocity 3 Drag Racing, and, of course, the folks at RacerSupplyStore.com. Check them out. Huge show coming up, but first we start them all off the same way. Joining us now, he's the voice of the NHRA. He called the action out there at the DENSO Sparkplugs Nationals. And let me tell you what a race it was. Alan Reinhart joins us now. Still in Vegas, right, Alan?
Up next, here comes the Infinite Hero Dodge. Is he back? Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, still in Vegas. I'm sorry, I went back into race mode there for a moment. You know, Monday Nationals, sometimes it's just hard to get your brain to shift into neutral.
I love that idea. We've got car on track right now. We've got a little sound effects. I love it.
Yeah, you're going to have a little sound effect here in a minute. There are a number of teams that are here testing in Las Vegas, which has become such a regular thing here over the course of the last couple of years. And, well, for a couple of reasons. One, because everybody likes the facility. Two, because of the fire and safety team here at Las Vegas. Everybody's comfortable being here, and there's not a lot of places, if the safety safari is not on site, that all of the teams are comfortable with. Las Vegas is one of them, and that's why this is a favorite testing place.
Very cool. So what is that, Jack Beckman out there? You were calling the actual burnout?
Yeah, Jack Beckman is actually just about to stage, so we're going to have to pause here for a moment because for at least a few seconds you won't be able to hear me.
Sounds great. Let's listen.
Yeah, puff the tires about 150 feet.
Wow. Well, let's start off with funny cars since we've got funny cars in the background. And Tommy Johnson wins the race. Tommy Johnson scheduled to be on the show along with Antron Brown and Tanner Gray. All great stories, but I can't help but bring up Johnny Lindbergh. Wow, what a debut. He didn't win. Yes, back-to-back finals, but so cool for that fan base of alcohol funny car people who see their guy going to the big show, for the international crowd who sees their guy going to the final round. I can't think of a better way to bring in new fans than Johnny Lindbergh going to back-to-back finals.
Yeah, I know that, the European following certainly is very strong right now, and we all know who they were rooting for in that final round. what might be the most interesting thing of all, and confirmed this with Lewis Bloom, the stat guy for our NHRA on Fox. In all the years of NHRA, Johnny Lindbergh is the first driver to ever go to back-to-back finals in his first 2 funny car starts in the Nitro ranks. You'd have to think over the years that somebody would have done that before now. But so Johnny's at least carved himself out a little piece of history, even though he hasn't made it to the winner's circle yet.
Wow, that is amazing. So back-to-back Top Alcohol Funny Car World Championships and back-to-back final rounds in his Big Show Funny Car debut. And on the broadcast, they did, a piece with Jim Head, and he had to admit he was smiling. That is pretty cool. Interesting day, though. Courtney taken out first round by Gary Densham. Densham makes it to the semis as Alexis has a problem. Johnny getting around Jack Beckman, and Jim Head said he was doing match race stuff. This was one of those days where he had to go into the bag of tricks and just get down the track, and it certainly worked until Tommy Johnson dropped a 393.3 on them in the final round.
Yeah, it was an interesting weekend with the weather that they were having to deal with out here, from the enormous dust storm and windstorm that came through the place on Thursday. Not that we were trying to race in the middle of that, and then having some rain on Friday. And, the dry air conditions are a little bit different for these cars. The racing surface here is great. Everybody knows that. But there was nobody that looked like they were really comfortable and really had a great handle on this place going into Sunday. And that kind of turned everybody's mentality into, look, get it to the finish line, and you got a pretty good chance here. And that's exactly what Jim was doing. Nobody on Sunday was coming up here trying to set records or trying to run personal best. It was like, let's just get it to the finish line. And if it gets there, you got a better than even money chance of going on. And that's basically what Jim and Johnny Lindbergh did. Even though they had a little bit of a problem in the first round, Ron Capps had a bigger problem in the first round. But after that, they were going to the finish line, went into the final with lane choice over Tommy Johnson. And then, the Make-A-Wish guys just dropped that bomb on them. That was low ET of race day that they ran in the final round with that 393. That
was a bomb. Now, I often battle people on the internet. Not really. I just see some of the comments that our show, this show, we accentuate the positive most of the time. It's just a fact. I prefer to be a glasses half full kind of guy, all that. But just to show that I'll call it the other way, my opinion, the first round was kind of ugly. Just weird stuff happening, cars not getting down the track, cars braking, by runs. That is just awesome. Solo shots. So for those who want to know if I'll call it when I see it, I will. That first round, wow, a lot of weird stuff going on.
Well, there was some strange stuff going on throughout the course of the day. I mean, are you talking first round of funny car or first round of everything?
Well, in Top Fuel, we had, a couple of singles, one, of course, through qualifying. In funny car, Cruz leaving before the tree is activated. Just weird stuff throughout.
True. But I think that's part of the entertainment factor. I actually said it both on Saturday and on Sunday morning during pre-race. When you get into a situation where qualifying just is wacky, and this weekend it was, and nobody looks like they have a really good firm hold on the conditions and on the racetrack out here, that makes for an entertaining day. If you pulled up all the cars and everybody had 050 lights and everybody ran to the finish line, you could certainly make the argument for, man, that was a great race. We saw, full pull after full pull after full pull. But I think it makes for a very interesting race when you kind of sit there and go, all right, what's going to happen next? We've seen this, we've seen that. Hold on just a second.
Who is that?
Force.
Ah.
393, 321.
There you go.
Robert Height has the two best runs of the day so far. He's gone 384 and 388. But no, I think it makes for a wildly entertaining race when you literally don't know what's going to happen next. You pull up and tell me anybody was disappointed. How many people do you think that were watching the race, whether they were here in person, whether they're watching on All Access, or whether they went, oh man, I can't believe Densham's in the semis.
No,
it was a great story.
They loved it.
And was he there because he was the performance story of the race? He was no. He was there because he was going to the finish line, at least for the most part, and other guys weren't. I made the comment when he won the second round. I said, here's what's happening in Vegas. Gary Densham is going to the semis, and two guys with $1 million budgets are taking down their awnings right now. And that was part of the great story. And if everybody is running their career best runs and everybody, you're just not going to have stories like that. So, you can't have it both ways. Some races are going to be unbelievable performance fests where, hey, if you can't run 385, I don't know why you left the trailer. And some of them are going to be survival fests, which, again, can be wildly entertaining.
And Tommy Johnson on a mission, of course, wins the race, beats Jim Campbell, Robert Height, John Force, who we just heard, and the sound effects are awesome, en route to the final against Johnny Lindbergh. But that is a team over the past 3 years, perhaps the most consistent, being in the top 3 in points each of the last 3 years, and now coming out of the box a little bit earlier than normal with a win, just reinforcing that they are going for that championship again this year.
Yeah, I mean, their goals are pretty clearly stated. After finishing third twice, finishing second last year, nobody's coming out going, okay, we're going to be happy with top 5 again. Once you've been there, that's just not going to do it. You want to improve. You want to keep going. Had a pretty good car, obviously. But, you also look at, and from just the fact that I got to be here and sit here and watch the whole thing, if you saw it on NHRA on Fox or, in the semifinals, John Force was winning the race and then had a problem with his car. But, you got to get to the finish line. Tommy did, John didn't. So, sometimes you can play the when it's your day card, and sometimes you just go in and crush them. But, the Make-A-Wish guys now, that takes a lot of pressure off when you're locked into the tracks of shootout, when you've got that first win, and, you just continue building on that now. Last year it was a lot later in the season before they got their first win. Everything's going to reset, obviously, once we get to the countdown to the championship. But once you've put one in the winner's circle, you almost feel like, okay, that's one thing on the year that we can now check off the list. Let's move on to the other stuff, because you obviously don't want to go the entire season without a win.
Absolutely. Moving over to Top Fuel, we are scheduled to hear from Antron Brown, 3-time champ, back-to-back champ, Top Gear America host. Antron Brown going to be on the show at some point. First win of the year for Antron, though, had to go through Scott Palmer, who was last week's guest on the show. Everybody loved hearing Scott Palmer. If you didn't hear that interview, it is waiting for you in the archive on the WFO app. Then his great friend Steve Torrence. And what did he run that record to now? 20-1 against Steve Torrence, or is it 21-1 against Steve Torrence? Very lopsided battle. Leah Pritchett in the semifinal. Leah had another big matchup against Brittany. We can dial in on that. And then back-to-back final rounds against Tony Schumacher. So Antron Brown really had to earn his first victory of 2017.
Yeah, if I'm Steve Torrence, I'm getting an Antron Brown doll and sticking pins in it or something. I don't know. I don't know what you got to do to beat that guy. Such an unbelievably lopsided record. And for guys that have good cars, you go back in time, and there were some plenty lopsided records, but we're talking about, John Force in his heyday racing, Joe Costello, for lack of a part-time guy, or a guy that shows up with, $2 and one set of tires kind of thing. We're talking about a guy who is a championship contender, finished third last year in the countdown, has won races. How can anybody be 21-1 against a car like that? And I kind of teased him yesterday. He was doing an interview, and he said, man, my day wasn't easy. He said, you look at Palmer, he's turning into a player. He's, winning some rounds on a regular basis and doing some stuff now. And he says, then Torrence. And he goes, man, I'm telling you, anytime you go up against Torrence. And I said, come on, Antron. I said, you go up against Torrence, that's like a bye run for you. And he kind of laughed, and he said, dude, he goes, one of these days that's going to shift. And he said, you mark my words, there's going to come a time when I might lose 8 or 9 in a row. He said, I don't ever think about that as an easy run. And obviously you shouldn't. And, he and Tony in the final, just like they were in Gainesville a week ago, only this time the tables were turned.
Yes, and that is a good thing. And 300 victories, 299 and 300 for Don Schumacher Racing. Just to highlight that as an accomplishment in drag racing, just tremendous. I remember the photo of, I guess it was, John Force surrounded by Wallies. And I can't help but think of 300 Wallies. That's a lot. What does that weigh?
What are they, 12 pounds a piece? So, yeah, you're right. That is a lot. I was thinking about that this morning, and the terms I was thinking is, if your job is to clean the trophies at DSR, okay?
Yes.
And every day you got one trophy, and you got to, take it off the base and polish it up and shine it up and do all that stuff and put it back together. You do a trophy a day. Dude, you're going to have a full-time job for life.
Absolutely. It's 3,600 pounds worth of Wallies.
And if you do one a day, each one will get cleaned once a year. I don't know. I think once a year is about that once a year you should clean and polish and shine up the wood on your Wallies, wouldn't you think?
Absolutely. They should get a sponsor. They should get a wood polish sponsor for the base and just all the great stuff. It's a huge accomplishment by Don Schumacher Racing, and the way it all went down with Tony and Antron. What about the Brittany-Leah matchup, though? There's a microscope under that. It's just a fact. The 1,000-foot with Brittany Force and the conversation and all of that, every time these two run, it's the rivalry, and Leah comes out on top again.
Well, I didn't see the 1,000-foot with Brittany Force. I've got to track that down online, I guess. Obviously, I didn't get to see the show last night because I was at the racetrack. But no, I think it's good for the sport. I don't, neither one of them wants to gouge the other one's eyes out. But I think the fans are starting to take sides now, and that's important. You need to have some kind of an emotional attachment with what you're watching. If you just come to watch two cars go down the racetrack and you don't care who wins, then it's not going to be anywhere near as entertaining or exciting for you to watch the race. And picking a favorite is good. I stuck my head in Leah's trailer, I don't remember, Friday or Saturday during the course of the week. I walked into the lounge, and she was drinking a Monster. And I kind of made the comment. I said, wow, I'm a little surprised that you'd be drinking that and not something else. And she said, oh, no. She said, I love these things. And I said, I just figured, between you and Brittany. And she said, no. She said, I love her sponsor almost as much as I love beating her. And she said, I know how much she wants to beat me, and I hope if she goes out and celebrates and has pizza, she calls Papa John. And I thought, that's fair. Again, it's the two ladies just want to beat each other. They don't hate each other. They don't want to shoot each other, but they want to beat each other. And they both have a little bit more emotion, a little bit more skin in the game when they're racing each other than when they're racing anybody else out there.
It's a lot of fun to watch. It seems to be in good spirits. They are out there to battle. And at some point, just like we were talking about with Steve and Antron, it's going to swing back and forth, and they're going to go on little runs, and it's going to be very interesting to see how they deal with those changes. They're both still at the very beginning of their drag racing careers. Speaking of being at the very beginning of a drag racing career, pro stock.
But one last thing before we go talk about Tanner. I mean, I think the key to that is that Leah is never going to get out of her car and go, boy, we were really lucky to beat her. She's a great driver and has a great team. She's going to get out of her car and say, I don't want to lose to her. This means something to me. I came to beat her. I beat her. And Brittany hopefully will do the same thing. But that makes it a more interesting rivalry than those guys are great. We love those guys. We went and had dinner with them last night. Everything's wonderful. That doesn't get the fans to pick sides, and you want the fans to pick sides.
Absolutely. You want the fans to pick sides, and that is what is happening in Top Fuel when those two ladies are out there on the track, and hopefully our the male counterparts will realize that there's room for it, do it, and be overt and obvious about the fact that you want to win on the racetrack at the expense of your competition. Yes, you want to beat them, send them home, make them unhappy. Those are the breaks. This is drag racing. Speaking of which, Tanner Gray, we have heard this 17-year-old is that guy. He's got that attitude. He wants to mix it up, wants to ruin someone's day, wants to get out there as soon as he has enough runs under his belt to really feel comfortable. Well, here we are, fourth race. The guy beats all three Summit cars en route to his first victory. That's pretty much how you would draw it up if you wanted to emerge on the scene as a new driver, a fresh young face, the youngest winner ever in NHRA Mellow Yellow drag racing history.
Especially when you look at what happened previous to that. If you delve into it a little bit, Gray Motorsports obviously has the resources. They're making pretty good power. Even back to the end of last year, Shane came in here and won Vegas, if I'm not mistaken. But they have certainly been front-running contenders. Shane went to the final last week. And as far as Tanner goes, in his career, which is now 4 races old, he had never been beaten by anybody other than Ken Black Racing. He had lost to Greg, he had lost to Jason, and that in Pomona and in Phoenix and in Gainesville. It was one of the Summit cars that sent him home. So the poetic justice of beating all three of them, since obviously you're including Bo Butner in the final round, that was a pretty nice, I think, message sent to them that, hey, you got the better of me the first couple of races, but I can beat you guys, and not just once in a while, but all of you on the same day. Pretty impressive feat. And I still continue to marvel at when you talk to that young man, you have to keep reminding yourself that this kid's 17. This kid's still in high school. This kid's going to be around a long time. He's got a lot, because he's just so mature and so well-spoken, and the way he handles himself and the way he carries himself. Obviously his father, his mother, his grandfather have got to be very proud of that young man. Just, the young man that he is at this point, and where he's headed, who knows? Even the sky's not the limit. He can go higher than that if he wants to.
Who is on track in the background?
You don't have to know everything, Costello.
I know, but I want to so badly.
Alexis DeJoria.
That is awesome. Alan, I'm thinking about Shane and Johnny Gray, and I'm thinking of the sport in context. We get the question all the time, like, hey, why doesn't a person, get out of the seat and let somebody who's better drive the car? We hear that. And your answer very often, and the real answer is, well, it's because of the fun of driving. If you're paying for the fun, you might as well drive. But at the same time, in the NASCAR universe, we've seen guys like Rick Hendrick and Richard Childress, and, people get out of the seat because they know that it will be better for their team, for the sponsor side, for everything. If they put a driver in there to drive, they go do the business deals, manage the team, and build it into something bigger. And I can't help but think about Gray Motorsports as that. They've got themselves a dedicated driver who can be a star, who's young. Kids love watching kids. Oh, that sounded good.
I put a cylinder out pretty early. Ended up 404 at 293. Just kind of meandering on down there.
All right.
I think that's kind of an apples to oranges thing. Gray Motorsports, since they are self-sufficient financially. If Johnny wants to come out and drive, and he has said he's going to, Shane drove for a while, and now he says he's going to step back a little bit. Tanner is the next member of the family coming up. Now, if you have a sponsor that you have to satisfy, let's just say hypothetically, okay, Reinhardt Motorsports, I run a pro stock car. I'm paying for it. I'm driving it. I make some mistakes from time to time. I, get beat on the starting line from time to time or whatever. I could put Joe Costello in the car because he's a better driver than I am, and we'd probably win more races and have more success.
That's true.
I know that. But I'm spending the money. So if I'm spending the money, but you know what? I want to be the guy that's having the fun. I want to be the guy that's driving the car. It's my money. Who's going to tell me not to?
Right.
Now, if WFO Radio says, hey, I'd like to sponsor Reinhardt Motorsports. Let's put WFO on the side of the car. Let's do this. Let's do that. Yeah, sure. Hey, great. Sounds good to me. And now 6 months into the season or after the first year, WFO Radio comes and says, look, man, we finished 6th in the points. We won one race, but we really should have been a championship contender. Don't you think? And I want to keep sponsoring Reinhardt Motorsports, but I want to be a championship contender. I want to put Joe Costello in your car. He's a good spokesman for me. He does a nice job for the company. And, no offense, but look at his driving credentials. He's better than you are. Well, now I can make the choice of going back and spending my own money or making the move for the team. And on the NASCAR side, I think it's so much more sponsor-driven that you have to deliver for your sponsors. You have to deliver for your sponsors. And therefore, you're going to make the decision to put the best driver in the car, even if it's not me. Whereas if you're self-funded, if I'm the one that's having the fun, I'm the one that's having the fun. I'm not going to be spending my $1.5 million or $2 million a year so Joe Costello can go have fun. I want to drive the damn car. And it's kind of a different environment. So, when WFO steps up and wants to sponsor Reinhardt Motorsports, Joe, you got to ride anytime.
We are working on that. We are working on it as we speak. It is on the big board of ideas that we have here at the studios. I can assure you. Nonetheless, Vegas, excellent. Crazy storm coming through before the race started. We saw that on some of the social media. But in the end, a big event in the books. Garrett Bateman winning in Top Alcohol Dragster, Shane Westerfield in Funny Car, Alan Ellis in Comp, Mike Lodge in Super Stock, Chris Hall in Stock.
Mike Logie. Yes.
Thank
Mike
you.
Logie.
Chris Hall in Stock Eliminator, Ryan Harem, High Gear. Rick in Super Comp, Rick Cates in Super Gas, Chuck Phelps in Racing RV's Top Dragster, Dean Hall in Top Sportsman over Ed Olpen, who has just been unbelievable this year. He's like making every final there is. And Jay Turner in Top Fuel Harley. There was an unbelievable Top Fuel Harley save that is all over the internet today.
What? I got this.
Wow. That was just nuts. Like those guys, I love them, but wow.
Yeah, well, Mike Pellrine, and you won't have to go very far to find that if you want to just Google it. Or actually, I'm sure it's on NHRA.com's homepage someplace. The bike was pushing towards the center line. He's leaning. If you're not familiar with Nitro Harleys, they're just like unbelievably ridiculous machines. And he finally leaned it over so far that he had a frame rail on the ground. Brian and I went by and talked to him and saw where it had rubbed the racetrack pretty good. Picked the back tire up to the point that the motor went against the rev limiter, but he did keep it in his own lane. And then when it came back down, the front end tried to watch. You just have to watch it. And keep in mind that the guy's going about 220 miles an hour. The craziest part about that is the run that it was on, and we all missed it. I mean, all of us standing here were just watching the thing going, holy smokes. That thing went 205 miles an hour at the 8th mile. And I couldn't tell you that's the first, but I don't remember ever seeing a Nitro Harley over 200 miles an hour at the 8th.
Wow. Yeah, it's a great addition to NHRA.
Hold on. Del Worsham didn't make it, obviously.
They're having a tough start. I mean, I know that starting your own team and getting going, getting everything is a great challenge, but they're testing, so they're fighting to pull themselves up.
They had just a strange weekend. The run they made earlier in the weekend where Del did the burnout, and he backed up, and he got the hatch open as always, letting the smoke out of the car. And the further he backed up, it almost seemed like it was getting smokier. And, one of those deals, when you've watched 100 of these things, sometimes something just looks funny, and you can't necessarily put your finger on what it is, but that's not normal kind of stuff. And I'm sitting up here kind of thinking, that's not normal. And the further he backed up, the more smoke was coming out instead of less. He got it back behind the starting line, and they lifted the body up, and the guy runs over the fire extinguisher, and they blast the fire extinguisher. Then they put the body back down, and Chuck acted like they were going to go ahead and make the run. Mike Giddings overruled them, the NHRA chief starter, but it was just like, huh? So in between rounds, I walked back in the pits and said, what was that all about? I mean, I couldn't imagine what you could possibly have that was on fire that once you put it out, you would decide, okay, it's all right now. And, I'm running through my mind about, electrical this or whatever. And in the grand scheme of things that I had never seen or heard of before, the car spit out a little piece of the header gasket. So on the burnout, the header flame was escaping under the body, and it lit the diaper on fire. And once they put that out, Chuck's first thought was, yeah, it'll be okay. Obviously, as I said, that common sense prevailed down there on the side. But I have never before heard of a header gasket failure starting a diaper on fire. It was just ridiculous. But, just shows you that there's always new things to be seen and learned in the NHRA.
That is a fact. Alan, great job as usual. Thank you so much for the sound effects. That was awesome. And one of the reasons, hopefully, our listeners log on, tune in, subscribe every week. You just never know where Alan is going to be and what chaos is going to happen here on WFO.
Well, thanks, Joe. Always a pleasure. And not trying to be your producer, but if you next week being an off week on the big tour, even though we do have the regional event here at the Strip where I will be, Shane Westerfield's off to a pretty hot start this year. He has entered 3 races. He's gone home with 3 trophies. And as I said on the TV show that we'll see on Fox Sports 1 next week for the Sportsman Show, it's a long way from Vegas in the spring to the championship stage out in Hollywood. But he's got 3 wins already on the board this year, and he's certainly off to a pretty hot start. So we'll just have to wait and see how that pans out. But,
we can make that happen.
If you've been to 3 races and you haven't been beaten yet, you've got a pretty good start to the year.
That is a fact, and I believe we can make that happen. And I'm loving the Sportsman shows, by the way. Just seeing Factory Stock Showdown, Samtech Factory Stock Showdown from the Gainesville show, I felt like that was really cool. I like they're showing. It seems like they're showing more of the sportsman cars, which I like. I think it's good. I love the fact that the best appearing cars, the Mother's Best appearing cars, are making the big TV shows, just showing more of what's going on out at the track. It seems like it's happening, and I like it.
Yeah, and this week or next week's show, when you see the show from Las Vegas, we put the spotlight squarely on Competition Eliminator, picked up Competition Eliminator in the second round and followed them through to conclusion. So that's one of the things that Kimberly, the new producer, has been pretty adamant about and putting some focus on is the fact that, hey, there's more going on than just the alcohol cars when you come to an NHRA event. So if you're a fan of comp, you might want to be sure and tune in and catch that show. You're going to see a lot of Competition Eliminator action. And obviously with Bruno being in the booth, there's not a whole lot of better guys to talk about Comp Eliminator than him. He's got 2 world championships. Who's that on track right now? That would be Mike Scott on his Nitro Harley.
Oh, okay. Very interesting. I feel like it's almost, wrong to end off a conversation when there's a machine on the track that's about to go down the track.
Smoke the tire.
There you go. Alan, great job. Thank you so much.
All right, Joe. We'll talk to you next week.
There he goes, the voice of the NHRA. Alan Reinhart joins us each week right here on WFO Radio. And the sound effects, live from the Monday Nationals testing going on. That was just great. And all kinds of good stories coming up for the next few weeks. Ashley Sanford getting her Top Fuel license. We're going to check in with Ashley. She doesn't know that yet, Ashley. We're going to check in with you at some point in the near future in the coming weeks to find out all about it. But we have got a great show for you. Antron Brown, Tommy Johnson, Tanner Gray, all on the show. Stick around, but first I want to tell you about RacerSupplyStore.com. Open a browser, go to RacerSupplyStore.com. Doug and George and the team, they've got a lot of cars that roll through their shop, and they decided, you know what? We're going to take a big step. Good old-fashioned American entrepreneurship story. Great website. They are mail order to your door. Great competitive pricing and a discount of 5% if you use the WFO promo code. That's WFO Radio to save 5%. WeatherTech, RaceQuip, Holley, MSD, all the brands you know and love available at RacerSupplyStore.com. Are you looking for a helmet? Are you looking for seat belts? Are you looking for an electric water pump, starters, carburetors, Holley fuel injection of all kinds? And not only that, the parts are to your door, but you get personalized customer service from actual racers who win races and are greatly successful in the Florida, West Palm Beach area. Doug and George, RacerSupplyStore.com. Now, don't take it from me. Go to their website, check them out, and just remember, you get 5% for just being a WFO Radio listener. WFO Radio is the promo code, all caps, I believe. RacerSupplyStore.com, and you can even give them a call, 561-273-9930. Tell them you heard it on WFO Radio. That is RacerSupplyStore.com. We'll be back with Antron Brown after this.
This is WFO Radio.
Hey, everybody, this is Joe Costello. Your website, what's the story? Our great friend Alton at BigFishTools.com has been doing high-quality websites, mobile apps, everything for years. He can do e-commerce. He can do everything. He has helped us out big time on WFO Radio, does a lot of the websites for folks on the Pro Bass Fishing Tour, does a lot of the websites on the NHRA Mellow Yellow Series Tour. And if you're a sportsman racer and you're wondering, why don't I get the attention? Why don't they know all the details about my life? Why don't they follow me? Why don't I have sponsors? One of the reasons might be that you don't have a first-class, professional, high-quality website. You're trying to get away with that website from 10 years ago. You're trying to do something yourself. You're trying to do a Facebook page, and it's just lost among thousands of other websites, Facebook pages, or otherwise. Check out Alton at bigfishtools.com. Just go to the website, email him. He can help you. He certainly helped us. That's Alton at bigfishtools.com. It's time to grow. It's time to move forward. It's time to advance. You do it for your car. You should do it for your website. That's Alton at bigfishtools.com.
Start your education at full speed with the School of Automotive Machinists and Technology. Accelerate your career as a high-performance engine builder with classroom instruction and practical hands-on experience in the lab, on the dyno, and at the track. In addition to the block, head, and CNC programs, SAM now offers motorsport, EFI tuning, and an Associates of Applied Science degree. And SAM is a military-friendly school, approved to train veterans and other eligible persons under the GI Bill. Start your education at full speed. Go to samtech.edu today.
Hey everybody, Joe here, and I hereby decree on behalf of the WFO universe, the winter is over, which means it's time to grill. Get yourself some Rodax Coffee and Grills.com, barbecue, spice rub, hot sauce, and of course, incredible coffee. They've got the WFO Radio Blend, they've got the Bang the Blower, they've got the exotics. It's all roasted fresh per your order, representing the top 5% of coffee throughout the world. Go to RodaxCoffeeandGrills.com or give Marvin a call. 817-924-6821 for RodaxCoffeeandGrills.com.
Get fired up on the WFO line.
WFO, Joe.
954-889-6796.
It's been an absolute joy to be a drag racing fan.
Go wide open, and your call may be used on the show.
Or preface by saying I'm not a Kurt Busch fan or apologist. I don't know where Greg Anderson's ego has gone, but I know one person that's going to be a big-time villain in pro stock.
That's 954-889-6796. That phone line is always WFO.
It's great to be on your show, man. 'Cause every time I'm on your show, brother, I know on WFO, I know we did something good.
Now, back to WFO Radio, NHRA Nitro.
Welcome back to NHRA Nitro, WFO Radio. All you listeners out there, we appreciate you so much. Logging on to this podcast, listening to the show in your earbud, however you choose to listen. We've got people in shops. We've got people going over the road. We have got people who are in a cubicle just chilling out, listening, guys, on the weekends. We see when the listeners are in and on, and we appreciate you greatly. We've got some interesting stuff we have started. We started a patron page out there for those of you who really want to support the show. You can find out more about that on our Ignition broadcast, which is a show that is wrought with information, but also comedy and fun, and I think you'll like it. If you listen to regular FM morning show style stuff, talk radio, I think you will like the Ignition show because it is supported and wrapped in motorsports as the overarching themes, and yet we will delve into other subjects and regular sports and just all kinds of stuff. So check that out, the Ignition show. You can find out about how to support the show in many different ways. But we also have many, many great sponsors who make it possible. Antron Brown going to be on the show just seconds from now. Antron is waiting in the wings. We got him in the green room, actually. Tommy Johnson Jr., Tanner Gray. We're catching up with a lot of these winning drivers after each and every NHRA Mellow Yellow Series national event. All the old school listeners are like, yeah, that's why we're logged on. Get to it. But first, I got to tell you about Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School, one of our oldest, longest running sponsors. They've been with us since the very beginning. And Frank, of course, you can get your license, Super Gas, Super Comp, Top Alcohol. You can get your license if you are a racer who wants to step up. This is the way to do it. Also, if you're a bracket racer, I say it in the spot every week, if you're a bracket racer who wants to get better, there are so many bracket racers out there. They go, they pay the money to get to the track, they buy their race fuel, they pay their entry fee. They go out there and, excuse me, I'm sorry, but they lose. They lose. Half the field loses first round. Each round, half the field loses. If you look around your local bracket track, there are some people who have never, ever, ever, ever won a race. They just haven't. They haven't won a race. Well, there are possible reasons for that, and Frank Hawley can really help you. The mental side of it. The man is an expert in his field. That's why he has a drag racing school. So consider going to Frank Hawley's drag racing school for just some of the mental strategies on how to be victorious. He can help you. So maybe you want to upgrade your license, or maybe you want to get better on the track, or maybe you just want a taste of the fun. Like, what is this like? I can't possibly drop down the initial investment to go drive a dragster, but Frank makes it possible. It's called the Dragster Adventure. Give them a call, 866-480-7223. They go all around the country with this course. It's an experience, and you and your friends, and you and your sales team, you and your best clients, as a spiff for the people who are doing a great job for you. You could get them something. But how about the great experience that is the Dragster Adventure? And they even offer side-by-side drag racing. They'll work it out for you. They'll create something for you. You have to get on the phone and give them a call and tell them you heard it on WFO. And then, who knows, the sky is the limit. They'll set up a race for your team. You and your sales guys, your best 8. Next thing you know, you're doing single elimination tournament. Driving these dragsters. It's unbelievably fun, and you will absolutely love it. 866-480-7223, or go to frankhawley.com. The website is a starting point, and you can find out all kinds of great information there. Big sponsor. Very helpful to keeping WFO Radio going every single week. Thank you to Frank Hawley and Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School. Time to move into the winners. Vegas, baby. The DENSO Spark Plugs NHRA Nationals. Joining us now, he is the 3-time NHRA Mellow Yellow Top Fuel World Champion. He is a back-to-back champion. He is the DENSO Spark Plugs Top Fuel Champion. He is the co-host of Top Gear America on BBC. He's got so many things before his name, you wouldn't believe it. Antron Brown is back. AB, welcome back.
Joe, it's good to be back, man. I haven't talked to you in a while, brother. And man, I tell you what, this year right here, man, it's been going crazy. Everything's been going wild and crazy, been all over the place. But I tell you what, man, it felt real good to get back out to the strip with Brian, Mark, and all of our Macro Tools, U.S. Army Toyota, Pinto, Hanksterford boys to get that car back in the winner's circle, man. The competition, I tell you what, man, we lost a couple teams, and you see it with a little bit of attendance, but I tell you what, the competition has not went down. It's at an all-time high right now, brother.
Let's explain to the audience what we're dealing with at this moment, just in case we lose you. And what we'll do is we'll get you back next week if we can't make it to the end of the interview, because Antron is like going through unbelievable hardship to try to get this interview to work, considering the cell service. You're like on one foot, you got like a tinfoil hat on. What's going on?
Oh, man, we're out here in California, down here by Jawbone Canyon, and we're doing some stuff for Top Gear. We're actually filming today, shooting, and I get to drive some very, very cool cars. And I can't tell you what I'm driving. You got to wait to see it on the show.
Of course, of course.
It airs in July, so start airing in July. But we're having a lot of fun, man. But ain't no cell service out here, brother. I'm out here in the middle of the desert in between some mountains, too, man. So it's pretty crazy, but it's a lot of fun, man. I like to drive cars for a living, fast cars, and race and compete. But now I get to lay back and drive things that I never dreamed about driving. You know what I mean? From Lamborghinis to Porsches to Ferraris to like Lexus LFAs to all kind of different cars, man. And it's pretty cool, man. It definitely got my attention, and it gives me a different respect for how, like, the craftsmanship that goes into these exotic cars, and then you know why the price tag is why it is once you get in depth with them.
So if we were to happen to lose you, just go about your business, and we'll catch up next week, but we'll try to keep you as long as possible. AB, do you know what a big, giant, massive deal it is that you are a Top Gear co-host?
Joe, it hasn't sunk in. I've always been a super fan of the show. I just can't believe that I'm on the one here in America. And it's pretty cool because we'll actually have relations going back and forth with the UK Top Gear, and they got a couple other ones that are launching in Australia, China, different areas like that. where it's all part of the same brand. It's all one big umbrella now. It was not like the old Top Gear show that was done on the History Channel was done by a different production company. This is all through BBC, so it's pretty cool. It's really cool. It's an honor. I'm humbled to be a part of the show and to co-host it with Bill Fickner and Tom Wookie Ford from over in UK. I mean, these guys love cars, and man, we just got a great friendship, and it really shows on TV when we're giving each other some static about some different things.
Well, you know, the one that you referenced, the History Channel one, I wasn't the biggest fan of it. I mean, I like car shows, so I'm okay, but I am a fan of the original Top Gear for the relationship amongst the guys, but two, in my opinion now, they don't ever dumb it down. They don't ever dumb it down. They give you the real. If it's technical, they give it to you. They give you the real, and they expect a lot from their viewers. And I know you guys are going to do the same thing because that's just your DNA.
Well, absolutely. And that's the way it is. Like, I come from the racing world. In the racing world, you know it. You could, like, everybody gets critiqued. Race teams get critiqued. And if you want to be better and you want to go forward in life, all these car manufacturers, they want the honest truth so they know what to work on and what somebody else really feels about it. Because everybody's got opinions, you know what I mean? And I think about it, I just like to put down the facts of what I feel. Like if it's worth the bang for the buck, yeah, it could be cool, exotic, but is it really worth it?
And as a drag racer, you know that acceleration means a lot.
Well, absolutely, you know, and the thing about it is like we love acceleration, but we're going to find out that like all these people I talk to, especially the ones when they come drop off the cars, they go, hey, man, this one's going to get your attention, man. This one right here might make like 900 horsepower. I said, man, I make more than one cylinder in my race car. So it's hilarious because it's not the rate of acceleration that excites me. What enthuses me is the technology, engineering that they're putting in them. And the cool part is, like, you're seeing a lot of these cars come out with smaller liter engines, and they're putting turbos on them, and they're putting superchargers on them to get the power that they need. And this is something that's been in our sport for over years, but just hitting the market, and they're doing direct injection, like, right into the cylinder chamber. But we've been doing that in fuel for how long? Like, since like, the 70s and 80s. So it's kind of hilarious how our technology is catching up to the regular automobile market where they're starting to use it now.
Absolutely. All right. Love Antron, the Top Gear co-host, and you have no idea how behind you we are. We are like, whatever you need, we're going to blow this thing up as best as we can leading up to the first Antron Brown show. So no worries about that. Let's talk about the battle against Scott Palmer, Steve Torrence, Leah Pritchett, and Tony Schumacher to get your first win. That is not an easy day.
Heck no, and you know, we didn't qualify where we wanted to qualify it, but we qualified in the right spot where we were meant to qualify it because, well, I really realized Vegas was tricky. Everybody's like, why is everybody having a problem with the racetrack? And a lot of teams have problems because on Friday, the track was so good. And what you got to remember, Vegas, you do not have a high barometer, so you don't make like stout power like we did in Gainesville or the kind of power that we made in Phoenix or the power that we made in Pomona. It's like Vegas has got a low barometer, like almost like when you're in Denver. You get what I mean? So when you're out there, we had a track that was stellar good, and it was so tight that you couldn't, like, you know, something's got to give off the starting line. None of the cars had wheel spin off the starting line. And what happened was it stuck the tire. Then when it stuck the tire, something has to give. Either the clutch has got to give. If not, it brings the motor down to its knees, and then you're groveling up, and it goes through tire shake in the jiggle zone. Like when we take timing out of it, it never comes out, and they just rattle up. And funny cars had a difficult problem because that's what was happening to them. And then when you go out there and you try to stab at a track, let's say, all right, well, I'm going to load some more clutch on it, and I'm going to put a smaller tire, and I'm going to throw a whole button and give the kitchen sink at it. But what happened was the track was still so tight, the car was still dead hooked, but then it'll hook so hard, it'll make the car actually bunny hop off the ground and then go into instant tire smoke. So it was one of those tracks that you never see, and we didn't have the power to muster through it like we do when the tracks do get that good. So it threw everybody for a curveball. And we had a couple of mishaps. We had a couple of things that broke on us, and And our car was just a fast bracket car in 3 runs. I mean, it was a decent bracket car where we ran 79, 79, 79, with 2,000 all 3 runs. So it was pretty wild. And then we got to race day. Brian and Mark went to work, and we swapped some things around, and Brad on our car fixed a couple of things in our management deal that went wrong, where it burnt up a couple, like our control module on our car. And I guess those things wear out after time, you know what I mean? It's electrical stuff. And then we got all that stuff figured out, and we came out on first round eliminations, and we made a really strong quality lap at 375 with a 2, and it kind of set us up for the rest of the race day. And then in the first round against Scott Palmer, you didn't want to take any chances. He qualified. Palmer's got a strong running program right now. He's got the budget. He's got the parts. He's got the team. And, I mean, they're running low 80s, high 70s now. So we went in first round, and we didn't want to take no stops on them, so we put our best foot forward. We ran second quick of first round, and it really set up our matchup for Steve Torrance, where we got lane choice because he was the number 1 qualifier. He had to race the number 1 qualifier, Steve-O, first round. And they went out there. They pressed the envelope, and we was giving it all we had, and we didn't muster up the ET that we wanted to muster up, but it was enough for us to get the win. And then that set us up for a great semifinal. Gets our teammate Leah Pritchett in the Papa John's car with Todd O'Carr, Smoking Joe, and all them guys over there. And Leah, she's been having the car of the class right now, man. The first 2 races, that car's been dominant. They always qualify well. And we're able to sneak past them and get that win. And then the final, we set up a rematch, which we won it from Gainesville, because the Army team with Tony, Mike Green, and Phil and all those guys over there, they cleaned our clock there in Gainesville, and it felt good to have a little redemption, man, because the best cars out there right now has been our teammates. And if you want to win a race, you got to go through them. And to take both of them out and go through Steve-O, and then also go through Palmer, I mean, we had an all-star lineup up there to make it to the final and bring the win home, and it made it very meaningful for us.
Oh, absolutely. Watching that in Gainesville and then out here, I can't help but think that's 11 championships represented out there. 11.
I know it's crazy. It's crazy, and it made the race very special to us because Vegas always holds a special place in the heart. But it was just a great showing, and man, I'm just looking forward to Houston coming up here in a couple of weeks to get back after and get after some more. Get back to that competition, man. It's hard right now when you get to skip a week before you go to the next race, but man, I want to get back out there on that track again because we're just starting to get into that groove.
Well, it'll be 3 in a row at that point, and we're going to be rolling. You've got something really big, though, for the sport of drag racing, introducing Antron Brown to the world. I've been thinking about this for a long time, Antron. You and I have spoken about it here on the show, that the way you explain what you do as your profession, as your job, is a very easily understood by the regular person who watches football or basketball. And now you have a venue to show the kind of person you are, your comedy, your humor, your true character. And that's going to be so good for drag racing. I'm so happy for you, but I'm also happy for all of us because we've got you there. That's going to be so much fun to watch. I can't wait.
I appreciate you, man. This is a childhood dream come true, and it's another. It's not a job. It's another part of my career that I really, really enjoy, and it's something that I'm very passionate about. And it's going to be a lot of fun, man. And I'm just digging all the people we work with. I couldn't be more blessed, man. The Lord has blessed me in so many ways, and He gave me an incredible family on the racetrack, and now I have an incredible family off the racetrack that I get to work with.
What does your dad think about this?
My dad's super excited and stoked because I'm doing stuff that he always wanted and wished he could do. So that's what makes it really, really cool and a lot of fun.
You just don't forget digging those tanks out, okay? Remember, that's always got to be there.
Absolutely, you know it. But I'm looking out here on the horizon, brother. I'm getting called to go shoot. I'm going to shoot here and film some. But brother, we got to do it again. I hope I get to get on the radio with you again and have some more time with you so we can get into some more depth stuff, brother.
Absolutely. Hey, you made the time. You made it happen. I appreciate it. Go do a good job out there, Top Gear America. Antron, thank you very much. Congratulations on winning in Vegas.
Joe, I appreciate it, brother. You know what? And I always love being on WFO, brother. This is like home.
Ha! Good. I love it. You are always welcome. You know that.
Anytime, Joe. Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, Antron. Antron Brown with us here on WFO Radio. All right, a little behind the scenes, everybody. Behind the scenes. Antron went over and above the call of duty to make that phone call happen. Out of control, the level to which Antron went over and above to make that phone call happen for you, the WFO audience, to make you happy, to make us all happy, to make me happy. Such a great representative of the sport, such a great guy, and I'm telling you, you might not believe this. You might not. Antron Brown being on Top Gear, going to be one of the best things that ever happened to NHRA drag racing. So many people are going to get to know his just exceptional personality. They're going to come to love him. They're going to want to know what he does. Oh, he's a drag racer. And we cannot underestimate, we cannot overstate how NHRA drag racing has the capacity to grow, the room to grow for this sport. Just got to get it in front of the right people in the right time in the right place. Just like NASCAR exploded on the scene in the 1990s. It was big. It was going well through the 80s. They had a rich history. And then in the 1990s, with the arrival of a Jeff Gordon, they exploded onto the national scene. They became something considerably larger, a multi-billion-dollar industry. And that can happen. There's room to grow for NHRA drag racing. And getting a guy like Antron Brown in front of, hopefully millions of people on a weekly basis, talking about something they love, cool cars, regular cars, not necessarily race-specific cars. It's going to be good for the sport. Not to mention, he got 300th win for Don Schumacher Racing. Now, who got win number 299? That is the question. Well, that's Tommy Johnson Jr., and Tommy Johnson Jr. is going to join us on the show. Also, Tanner Gray. Looking forward to catching up with Tanner. A lot to talk about. Huge win, takes down all the Summit cars, or all the KB cars, both the Summit cars, all the KB cars, and just tremendous. What a weekend for that young man. And we'll delve more deeply into that, how good Tanner Gray is for the sport. Kids like watching kids. That's just the way it is. My little nephew, pick a driver, Joey Logano. Why? Why him? Because he's a kid. Kids like watching kids. If you want to bring on younger people, we had John Hale on the show last week. We need new, younger fans. That was his whole thought process. We were talking about Best of Texas barbecue sauce. The whole thought process was we need new, younger fans. Well, guess what? New, younger fans are brought on when you have new, younger drivers. And Tanner Gray is that. So we're looking pretty good out here in the world of NHRA drag racing. And speaking of John Hale's Best of Texas barbecue sauce, Best of Texas BBQSauce.com. Did you hear John on the show last week? Speaking about someone who has stepped up to support WFO with a great product, by the gallon, by the jar, by the case, you have got to try this stuff. Now, I want all of our audience members to feel connected to the show and want to support the show and want to step up and help us grow. If you're a business and you want to become a sponsor, we welcome you out there. But eventually, it's all about you. You will either benefit or not benefit from utilizing one of our sponsors. You will make the order, the product will arrive, and in the end, it's just you and the product deciding whether or not you like it or not. As much as you like the guests on the show and what we try to do, and we consider ourselves like a family, all of our listeners, a very tight network of people, if the product isn't good, well, you're going to be like, all right, we tried it, but it's not great. This one, you are going to love it. And I pride myself by having great sponsors, people that are the real deal, like John Hale with his Best of Texas barbecue sauce. He was on, he gave us the whole story last week. If you haven't heard the interview, it's in the archive. It was great. In the end, this is it. If you're grilling for a large group of people, if you're grilling for a team, if you're out there just one of these barbecue files who on the weekends loves to fire up the grill and get after it, Best of Texas BBQ sauce has got to be part of your situation. Go to the website, bbqsauce.com. Get in on the action. You can order it from the website. You can order it online on Amazon. But really what he wants to do is he wants to get it in grocery stores and restaurants and all that. So if you are a buyer or a grocery store owner or a restaurant owner and you want to try this out, you got to get on board. John Hale, Best of Texas, bbqsauce.com. It is great. You will love it. And, of course, supporters of WFO Radio. We'll be back with Tommy Johnson Jr., win number 299 for Don Schumacher Racing, making that 300th so possible. We'll be back.
It ain't just wide open, it's WFO.
Start your education at full speed with the School of Automotive Machinists and Technology. Accelerate your career as a high-performance engine builder with classroom instruction and practical hands-on experience in the lab, on the dyno, and at the track. In addition to the blockhead and CNC programs, SAM now offers motorsport, EFI tuning, and an Associates of Applied Science degree. And SAM is a military-friendly school, approved to train veterans and other eligible persons under the GI Bill. Start your education at full speed. Go to samtech.edu today.
Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School. Whether you're a bracket racer who wants to get better or a thrill seeker looking to cross it off your bucket list, Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School can put you on the right track. Don't believe me? Tell him, Frank.
No matter how little or how much experience you have, we've got a program for you. So if driving a dragster is on your bucket list, there's no better time than now. And if you'd like to be a pro, well, here's funny car champ, Jack Beckman.
Hey, this is Jack Beckman. Long before I was Fast Jack, I was a bracket racer who went to the Frank Hawley School. The time I spent there was some of the most exciting, intense, and fulfilling moments ever in a race car. I feel the curriculum Frank developed greatly helped me win not only the Super Comp, but also the NHRA Nitro Funny Car Championship. Frank put me on the right track. What are you waiting for?
Call them at 866-480-7223. That's 866-480-7223. Or visit frankhawley.com.
Hey, WFO Universe. Want something for free? Send a self-addressed stamped envelope with plenty of postage, and we'll load it up with free WFO stickers. That's right, I said free. Send your envelope, care of Castello Media /WFO stickers to P.O. Box 848353, Pembroke Pines, Florida 33084. Do it now.
If you're looking for extra horsepower, check out WilsonManifolds.com, the leader in intake manifold and nitrous oxide development. They've set records and won championships in just about every series in professional racing. Sprint Cup, Nationwide, Camping World Truck Series, NHRA Pro Stock, right up to the Nitro classes. If you're looking for extra horsepower, check out the leader in intake and nitrous development at WilsonManifolds.com.
Now, back to WFO Radio, NHRA Nitro.
Gotta love the winter shows. Gotta love them. The Mellow Yellow Series winners. I know we have new audience members all the time, and I really appreciate all you guys who email me and tweet or send some sort of communication, even yelling at me at the track, that you've listened to the show for a long time. But we always have new listeners, and we're trying to bring on new listeners, and really, the old school listeners are our best recruiting tool. Just telling your friends, it's a show you can listen to. You listen to it at work. Not everybody gets that. You listen to it at night, whenever, to hear the drivers tell you details of their race weekend. If you're a fan of NHRA drag racing, and I know you're hearing the show right now, so of course you get it already. But there are a lot of people who would absolutely love this show, who they just don't know about it. They don't know it's on their mobile device. They don't know they can listen. They don't know it's really just one click away. Download the WFO mobile app. It's free. Or type WFO Radio into your podcast catcher that's already on your phone. Or open up a browser and just go to WFO Radio. They don't know that. They don't know. And I am trying every week, probably ad nauseum to all you folks, to point that fact out. It's so easy to hear the drivers, and we have got a couple great drivers coming up. Tommy Johnson Jr., Mr. 299 for DSR, just seconds away. Tanner Gray, the youngest NHRA winner, just moments away. He'll be in the next segment. But I want to tell you about Marvin Rodak, Rodak'sCoffeeandGrills.com. Look, coffee is part of all our lives. When I hit 30 years old, it was all coffee all the time. Then Marvin at Rodak'sCoffeeandGrills.com, and you can check it out on our website, just took it to the next level. Gourmet specialty grade coffees roasted fresh per your order, and blends that are drag racing themed, like Bang the Blower, like the Schumacher Champion blend, like the WFO Radio blend. It will change your experience. It really will. When it arrives at your house, the aroma, you open it up, it's just extra sensory, just like drag racing, extra sensory. Plus, there is the hot sauces. There are 4 Rodax brands to choose from. I prefer the Habanero Endorphin Booster. Really, I can't go a day without it. Plus, there's the A26 Spice Rub. We love supporting small businesses in the United States of America, and this is exactly what Rodax Coffee and Grills is. Go to the website, rodaxcoffeeandgrills.com. You can even get John Hale's Best of Texas barbecue sauce through them if you would like, and give Marvin a call, 817-924-6821. 817-924-6821. RodaxCoffeeandGrills.com. You will love it. It'll change your life. It'll change your perspective on coffee, and it is really something great to enjoy. And plus, they're a WFO radio sponsor, so you got to support them. Support them. They support us. We support you, everybody. You know, there's a whole thing going on. All right, on to the funny car winner at the DENSO Spark Plugs NHRA Nationals out there in Vegas. On the scoreboard early this season. A big win early. That could mean a lot for a driver who's finished in the top 3 the last 3 years in a row. Joining us now, Mr. 299 for DSR, and the guy who clinched the 300th, if you think about it that way, gets his first win very early in the season. Tommy Johnson Jr. joins us now. Tommy, welcome back. Congratulations.
Glad to be on the show, Joe. It means we had a good weekend.
You had a good weekend. You are back. You are now back. What has the last 3 years been like for you? You know, the time where Tommy was, fighting and clawing his way back into the sport, for me, feels like a million years ago. It's like almost so long ago I've forgotten of it. But now you've had 3 years consecutive that you're in the top 3 in points. So we're now thinking about something totally different. You're on the verge, the brink. It's right there. You just got to grab it. And I feel like you guys know that. You and John Collins are acting like it, and you've got great results early in the season.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you what, you after you struggle and you come back and you have such success, you could easily lose sight of things. But I think the time off helped me not do that. I appreciate every moment. I appreciate the success we've had, and the biggest thing I think, and what makes me really happy is the whole team doesn't really lose focus. It's like, okay, that was great, but we can do better. And we need to keep our head down. If we're going to finish the deal, we have to focus and concentrate and not dwell too much on the success. Enjoy it, but just keep focusing the next race, not 2-3 races down the road, just the next race, do our best and be consistent. And that's what's paid off over these last 3 years and now into the 4th, is being consistent and focused. And we're never the fastest car out there, but we're going to be right there, and you're going to have to outrun us because we're going to go down the racetrack, going to make some good runs, and John does a great job of racing the racetrack.
Is there a new strategy for 2017? And let me position it by saying, we talked to Ron Tobler and Ron Capps, last year, and they said that the previous year they had a big meeting and they got together and they changed their strategy and they were going to be more aggressive, and they kind of dialed in on the things that they felt would be what got them over the top the following year, and it ended up working. You guys had come close now a couple of years in a row. Was there a meeting, hey, this is what we're going to do to put us over the top because we know we're close kind of discussion?
Yeah, somewhat, not to the point where like, hey, we're going to be more aggressive. We're going to make, bigger calls. We're going to make bigger swings. Nothing to that fact. Actually, it was the opposite. It was, we're not going to make huge changes. We're not going to try to go off down a road and try something new. We're going to keep fine-tuning what we have because it's been working for the last 3 years. We just keep picking away at it, small changes every week. We make a little change here, a little change there. We find something we like. We kind of tickle that, go that way, and don't make the big changes. We don't go out and try to be aggressive. We don't try to go run low ET. We try to go out and be very quick or very close. We try to run low ET. Let's not kid ourselves. We try to run low ET, but we're not going to go out and make a huge change to see, well, let's see if this works. You know, we're going to go out and, you know, that looked pretty nice. If we tickle it a little bit here and tickle it a little bit there, it'll pick up 100th or 2 here. And, you know, so that's what our meeting was, is we're not making any big changes. We're not going to a 6-disc clutch. We're not doing this. We're going to keep finessing what we have and making everything we've got better and make small changes and not get lost. And that's what's paid off. That's where our car is so consistent. I mean, after this weekend, I was looking back, and if you go clear back to Reading last year, the last 7 races, we've won 3 out of the last 7. So I think keep doing that, and it's so far it's our recipe for success. May not be somebody else's, but it's ours.
Well, and you are so close. You're right where you want to be. It's about brakes. It's about luck. It's about the things that maybe you can't even control at certain points, those thousandth of a second runs that as long as you can get down the racetrack and be consistent, you're going to be in the mix. And frankly, we're at the very beginning of the season. Winning Wallies and loading up the trophy case for Don Schumacher is a big part of this deal, too.
Yeah, I tell you what, we've been late bloomers. You know, our team, you know, we do okay. We go a round or 2 here and there till about Epping. It seems like is kind of where we hit our stride the last 3 years, and that's where we've really taken off and start to really roll. But you know, coming out of the box strong like that this year, and you know, getting this win so early in the season, locking yourself into the Traxxas shootout, and takes some pressure off. I think it's going to make us even better than we were the last 3 years because. Be honest, yeah, there was a little pressure on our team. You know, we were the last one into the Traxxas shootout, I think 2 years in a row, you know, so it was like, hey, how come you guys haven't won? Everybody else in the shop has, you know, so getting it done this year early, getting it out of the way, I think it's going to take some pressure off of us and probably make us even better.
We don't think about those things so often, but is that like a comment that you actually hear? Not from any single person in specific, but just generally, like the peer pressure applied to increase the competitive nature? Like, hey, guys, you know, we got ours. When are you going to get yours? When are you going to get yours?
Yeah, if you've been around any of the field teams for any period of time, you know that they like to razz people and you know, a lot of jabs and a lot of kidding going on. And there was definitely, you walk down the aisle at the shop at DSR, it's a long aisle. All the trailers are lined up in a row, and we record at the end. So if you needed something at the other end of the shop, yeah, every now and then as you're walking down the aisle, you'll hear, you know, hey, it's your turn. We got ours out of the way. When are you going to do yours? So yeah, that's, you know, it's a great group of guys out there. Everybody, it's a big family, and everybody enjoys being with each other, but everybody enjoys kidding each other and rubbing it in a little bit. So I'm glad to have it out of the way, and maybe, you know, who knows? Maybe it's our turn to harass a few people this year, and we can start harassing some guys walking around the shop.
There you go. Let's start harassing. Let's talk about
keep it interesting, right?
Exactly. Let's talk about first round. Jim Campbell, those guys. He's got a couple round wins already. Never an easy run, but you're able to uncork a 394.3, which is a very solid pass right there. Got the job done. Second quickest run of race day for you, and you're off and running. Second round, Robert Height. Robert has a problem, and then you're going to the semifinals to set up that matchup against John Force. Let's start with those 2 wins. That's a good race day already when you're fighting your way into the semifinals.
Yeah, I'm telling you what, you're rolling up our first round. I think we were 6th pair, and there's 5 pairs in front of us, and there have been some upsets already. There have been tire smoke. There have been all kinds of stuff. I watched Beckman right in front of me go out, cruise red lights, but he goes out and shakes. It would have lost, you know. I'm thinking, oh, boy. And then to go out and run a 394, I was like, oh, wow. Nobody was even close to that. Second quickest that round was a 97. So I was like, oh, yeah, it's going to be a good day. John's got a handle on this. But, you know, you don't know the tricky racetrack. Jim Campbell, that car is plenty capable of beating you. And, you know, he was 6th or 7th in the points coming into this race. So it isn't like, you know, first round's a given. And, you know, to go up there against Robert second round, I felt confident because we'd ran so well the first round. And it was a really, really long tree. You know, they're random, but, man, that had to be on the longest side of it. And I heard him double step and red light, and we left and had a hole out. And as I'm going down the track, I'm thinking, okay, it's got a hole out. I don't want to blow it up because he red lighted. We've already won. But I want to try to get a decent number so we can, if those guys smoke the tires, maybe we'll get lane choice for the semi. So I was running it down their way. Just past half track, I heard the radio come on, and I knew what they were telling me is they had a hole out, so I clicked it. And, you know, 406 wasn't a bad run, even clicking it early. And unfortunately, they didn't smoke the tires. But not having lane choice up against force didn't really seem to affect anything. The track was pretty equal. We didn't see any difference between the lanes. And going up there, you knew he was going to be tough. He ran a good run the run before, and we just got, I made it to the semis in Gainesville the race before and got beat by him. So, yeah, we were looking for a little revenge.
And you got it, 399.7. He looked like he was on a good run, though. You could probably see him in your window. I know all these funny cars now, everyone talks about how much better you can see out of them. I know Forrest does. I know you guys do. How much of him did you see? And then when you were able to, thrust ahead, it had to be a great feeling. Like, that's got to be the best feeling in the world when you're in a tight race and then you pull ahead and take the win.
Yeah, I couldn't see him at all. We had identical reaction times and identical 60-foots, and I think we started to pull away maybe about 330 out of hundreds or two on him, and then, I don't know what happened to him. He had an issue down track later in the track, but you can always hear him. If I can't see him, I can still hear him. And you can hear him, and I thought I heard something disappear. I thought I heard the sound go away, so I was hoping for the best, but it was definitely a handful. The semifinals and the final had to do a lot of driving in the car. The thing, it looked pretty straight from the outside, but on the inside, I was doing some work in there. It was definitely wanting to move around and had to keep it in the groove. And I think that was the key to it. If you can keep the thing in the groove and keep it hooked up, you're going to outrun the other person. So I was working those 2 rounds.
Well, everyone is saying that the headers have made it a totally different sport, that the headers have changed the game, and not that a funny car was ever easy to drive. I know that that's never the case, but that they're absolutely skittish, and that any moment the wheels are up and you might not even be able to control it. And, from my perspective, that's exciting. I think it's added an element. You're in the cockpit. You just described exactly that. Is it something that is good for the sport, that you guys are really having to work?
I think it's the greatest thing ever, Joe. It puts the driver back into it. I said this past winter, you don't want to make them so easy somebody out of the stands can drive one. That's not what it's all about, And I'm a hired driver. I get paid to do my job, and I'm paid to do it better than the other guy. And I work at it, when the headers came into play, it's like, whoa, it gets you on your toes. You have to work at your game and be better at it and be aware of what's going on more and work with your crew chief. That's the biggest thing I found is, talking to John after a run, I said, it picked the front end, it bobbled the front wheels, at 400 feet. He'll pull the computer up. We look at the front wheels to make sure that, see where they were off the ground or on the ground. And he has worked with me of making more downforce and making the car better and easier for me to drive, and just a lot of little changes. You would not believe how many changes we've made to the car to make it easier to drive or better to drive since putting on those headers. And that's just, working well together. I got to do my job, but I also have to feed him information on what I need. He can't make those changes if I don't tell him what I need. And he and I have done a great job of doing that. But I think it's great. If I can have an advantage because I can outdrive the other guy, well, then that's competition.
That's what it's all about. That's auto racing right there. I know you're a fan of other forms of racing too.
Oh, yeah.
That's what is the difference. You want a driver, not just cars. We want the driver to win races too.
Yeah, you still got to have that feel. You got to be able to work with what you have. I've always said I cannot make the car go any quicker, but I can sure slow it down. And that's the case now. And with these headers, you can certainly slow it down or get it out of the groove and have to shut off. So I try to take and get the most of everything they give me.
That is awesome. All right, you're going to the final round. You go into the final round against Johnny Lindberg. What about this guy? Back-to-back finals, first time ever a funny car driver has debuted that way, and he's a back-to-back top alcohol world champion. He's an international man of mystery / superstar, bringing in a whole new fan base that follows him because he's European and they're loving the sport. And there's got to be part of you that thinks, man, that story is very, very cool with Jim Head, but you got to shut him down. Tell me about getting ready for the final round, knowing you got to run Johnny Lindberg.
Yeah, what's funny is I met Johnny when I raced over in Sweden, and have known him and his brother and his whole family ever from racing over there in Europe with him. And when he came over here, I was kind of one of the first people he came to ask questions. Who should I talk to about this? Who do I need to see about this? And so I've worked with him for the last few years when his alcohol car just advice and guidance, of hey, yeah, here's what you got to do. And he's done a great job. They do a great job in the alcohol car, winning the championships. And, he got in this funny car. I thought, oh, he'll be fine. I watched him get his license in Vegas. And coming into the final, I thought, here he is again, the final. I mean, look at the rookie luck he's getting, I mean, he's doing a great job of driving the car, and things are going their way, and you're thinking, oh, boy, this is not good. If things are going his way that much, then we got our work cut out for us. But it was kind of cool. I had a lot of people from Europe that were saying, man, that was the ultimate final. I got to know them all from racing over there, and then Johnny in the final against us, so it was kind of cool. You can't let the rookie win, man. Come on, you don't want to be that guy and let him win. So
right.
Had to dig deep. He had to dig deep, I mean, he's learning really, really well, really fast, and thought, well, hey, let's see if we can teach him a lesson here.
Well, you guys did, and thank you very much for helping increase our listenership amongst the European audience. I hope they know that WFO Radio is the quickest, most reliable way that they can hear the winning drivers in the NHRA by logging on each week, and we're driving that point home right now. But 393.3, Tommy, that's like a sledgehammer. You guys just you uncorked the quickest run of race day in the final round. Dropped the hammer.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I saw what the guys were doing. I was strapping the car. We're getting in the car, and I could see John. He ran up, and they were looking at the racetrack, and I could hear on the radio. And I hear track temps, and I hear different things, and I hear, what they're talking about. And I saw him come back to the car and open the box for all the clutch timers and the ignition timers, and you can just tell by I've gotten to know him so well. Our chemistry is good enough that I could see by the look on his face. I thought, oh yeah, we're good. You could just see the confidence in him, and he made some changes, and I thought it's going to be good. And the track came to us a little bit, I think it was almost a 8 or 10 degree drop from the semifinals. So I knew he was going to tune it up, and we were going to run well. I didn't actually, when I ran through the chutes, I thought, oh, 93, okay, that's decent. And then I got to look at it, I'm like, well, that was low ET the race day. That's pretty good. So you get spoiled after we've seen these cars running 380s so easily anymore that you run a 93 and go, okay, good run. But considering the conditions we had on Sunday and the track conditions and the hottest track that we probably had all season long, that was a really outstanding run. And to be able to run a 94 first round and a 93 in the final, and that's 400s quicker than anybody ran else all day long. So guys just did a great job. It was easy for me. Just hit the throttle and keep it straight.
Yeah, exactly. You talk about understatement of the year right there. Yeah, just keep it straight. No big deal. What about 299 and the whole DSR 300? And we're hearing these numbers, but to think of the effort that goes in, the investment that's made, we all love the sport. You're doing it for Make-A-Wish and Terry Chandler and the charitable side of it, to be a part of a milestone. And they made a big deal on the broadcast, and I actually very much liked the way they tied them together. Without your 299, 300 is not possible. They happened in the same race, and you got the job done. So you and Antron, both part of it. I didn't really talk to Antron about it because he was in a questionable cell phone area, and so we talked pretty much about the race and his great Top Gear deal. But talk about the 300 wins for DSR, and you've been a part of several of them now, but very much part of this milestone with Win 299.
Yeah, it was kind of cool. I had no idea. I had no idea until I climbed out of the car and they started talking about it, and I'm like, huh? What are you talking about? And it was cool, to clinch 299, knowing that there was 2 DSR dragsters to follow and 300 was coming. It was kind of neat. And then I found out later that Johnny Gray, when he was driving for Don, won 199 and Antron won 200. So the team that I'm, piloting right now, this team, we won 199 and 299, and Antron won 200 and 300. So I guess it was meant to be there on Sunday. So just a tribute to the organization. Don supplies everything we need to do the job. He hires the right people. He puts them together, and it's up to you to go do the job. You have everything you need to do the job, and everybody works so well together at DSR. I've been on multi-car teams and seen it in the past on multi-car teams, and it seems like they fight each other more than trying to beat everybody else out there. And we do that. We want to be, there's a rivalry, but you want to be the best in the shop. But at the same time, the big picture is we need to be better than everybody else as a team, and that's why we have the many wins. Everybody works so well together and helps each other, and the crew chiefs have meetings when they come back to the shop on Tuesdays and sit down and discuss anything that happened throughout the weekend, if we can make everyone else better, and discuss issues, and that's why you're seeing all these wins. You know, these guys are doing a great job working together and keep pushing the boundaries. You know, we try a lot of stuff and see if it works. If it don't, we'll go on to the next one.
That is great. Next one in Houston, got a couple weeks off, and then headed down to the Spring Nationals at Royal Purple Raceway. Tommy, congratulations. Great job getting this win so early in the season. It is going to change the way you run these races. You guys got one on the board, which is big, and I appreciate you coming on WFO Radio. And I also appreciate you focusing on drag racing, which has opened up a little opportunity for me on your old show, Performance TV. Thank you.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I just, I love doing the TV. It was great doing Performance TV with Kathy Fisher, and I really enjoyed it. And it just took so much time. I started a business here in Indy, supplying all the race teams with some parts and supplies, and doing TV and was driving. And I said, I'd like to go home once in a while. So I just took a leave of absence. I told myself I got to step away for a while. I got to take a break, recharge the batteries, focus on the racing, focus on the driving, and make sure I'm giving it my all. And it's great that it opened up opportunity for you to get involved in that, and you'll have a great time and a great show. Kathy does a great job on it, and just maybe I'll come visit you someday on set, do a little cameo.
There you go. I like that idea. And Kathy you're absolutely correct. Such a wonderful person, great television talent, and has been extremely helpful to me as I make the transition from, talking guy to scene on camera guy. But it is a lot of fun. We should definitely hold you to that cameo idea. I think that could be great.
Okay, sounds good to me. I'm in for that.
There you go. Tommy, congratulations. Huge win. Huge charity. Great cause. Traxxas Shootout. You're in it. And 2017 is just getting started. Way to go. Thanks for coming on the show.
I appreciate it, Joe. Hope we're on a whole bunch more this year.
There you go. Well, you control it. Every win you get, you're on here.
I'm in.
Thanks, Tommy.
Okay, cool.
Tommy Johnson Jr. is going to be on the show a whole bunch later on this year for the rest of this year. They're going to have a good season. You can already see. And he loves the headers, all kinds of great stuff coming out of TJ. 299 wins for Don Schumacher. Antron was 300, and just great stuff. Thanks to Tommy for coming on the show. And yes, was on Performance TV a little bit before I was. He vacated. That opened it up for me, and then I'm on there. This past Saturday morning, Performance TV, 9:30, Velocity Network. WFO Joe is on there, and I'm getting my feet wet. Hopefully I can retain the position as long as possible. I know it's entertainment industry, so you never know. But I would invite you to check it out, or at very least set your DVRs. Maybe we can get the numbers to go up with our WFO listeners, and they'll be forced to retain me. Who knows? But I'm liking it. Everyone knows that's where I want to go. It's what I want to do. It's where I want to be. And so check me out, Velocity Network, Performance TV, Saturday morning, 9:30. At least a couple more shows. I'm like rotating in and out. We've got Tanner Gray. Tanner Gray, youngest winner, NHRA history, coming up next. How'd you do on race day score? Did you do okay? I didn't do great. I had Antron, but that's just about it. What about Extreme Velocity 3 drag racing? We had another one of our winners on the Ignition Show last week. You can race your way on WFO by downloading Extreme Velocity 3 drag racing. Check it out. Drag Racing Edge magazine. If you haven't signed up, great coverage. $24.95 for 6 issues. They're helping out WFO a lot. Got a couple of big ads in the magazine. Trying to bring on new listeners every step we take, every move we make. They're watching us. Drag Racing Edge magazine. Check it out. When we come back, Tanner Gray, youngest winner in NHRA Mellow Yellow history, coming up next.
Everybody, listen carefully.
Now you listen to me. Why do you listen? WFO, you guys are number one.
Honest. Listen.
Redline Synthetic Oil has been building the world's finest motor oil, gear oil, and additives, like our popular water wetter, for over 30 years. Think we're just for racers? Think again. Redline has the multi-grade viscosity available for your domestic, European, or Japanese vehicle. From 0W20 to 5W30, even 10W60. Redline motor oils are specifically designed to exceed the factory's demands, giving you longer drain intervals at lower oil temperatures. Is your off-the-shelf motor oil missing the zinc you need to protect your camshaft? Every bottle of Redline motor oil has more than enough zinc to suit your engine's needs. The same ester-based stocks found in and Redline motor oil are also in our gear oils for manual transmissions and differentials. Known around the globe as the best in protection, regardless of price. Check us out at redlineoil.com to find a dealer or even buy online. Racing technology engineered for the street. That's Redline Oil.
Android and iPhone users, download the WFO Radio app. It's sports radio for racing fans.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
The ultimate racing show, including WFO Radio NHRA Nitro, WFO Radio Ignition, the WFO Radio NASCAR Tailgate Party, news, videos, push notifications, and more.
I just hope I'm part of it.
Go to the App Store or Android Market, search WFO Radio, and download it now.
Hey, this is Joe Costello, and we'll be back to the show in a second. But first, I want to tell you about CompetitionPlus.com. There's a reason CompetitionPlus.com is the leader among drag racing electronic magazines. Their trained staff is always on alert and always asking the tough questions. The end result is hard-hitting drag racing journalism with up-to-the-minute reporting. For over a decade, CompetitionPlus.com has been a pioneer as drag racing's go-to source for the latest in news, race coverage, and high-quality photography. Their trained staff thrives on getting the inside stories, and their columnists study their topics before they hit their first keystroke. When it comes to covering the races, they leave you feeling as if you've actually been to the race. CompetitionPlus.com is an honest-to-goodness, free drag racing magazine, published by the most passionate of drag racing fans, who just happen to be journalists. Don't wonder what's going on in the drag racing world. Be in the know daily. Log on to CompetitionPlus.com.
Now, back to WFO Radio, NHRA Nitro.
DENSO Spark Plugs NHRA Nationals Winners Edition. We've got the winners on WFO Radio after each and every Mellow Yellow Series national event. Got a couple weeks off. We are going to have some great stories in the coming weeks. Be sure to subscribe to the show, lock in the show, listen every week. So many great things, inside details of what's going on in the NHRA Mellow Yellow Drag Racing Series. We have got Tanner Gray coming up next. Tanner, the youngest winner in the history of NHRA Mellow Yellow Drag Racing. But before we get to Tanner, I want to talk to all you parents out there and all you young people about what you're going to do with the rest of your life. The School of Automotive, Machinist, and Technology, samtech.edu, WFO Radio sponsor. Check out the website. Think about becoming an automotive machinist. Make your living in racing, whether it be engine block machining, cylinder head machining, CNC, EFI, the associate program. They have got it all. And maybe you don't know what you want to do with your life, or maybe you do. You want to be involved in racing. You want to be involved in automotive. You want to be involved with something you love and that you're passionate about. They're also military friendly and support the GI Bill. They can help you in many fronts. Go to the website, samtech.edu, and start your education at full speed. All kinds of programs, NASCAR, NHRA, IndyCar. We deal with and know many people that have got Samtech graduates. Their new EFI tuning program, a very big deal. If you want to learn the right way. Go to some place that you know is going to be helpful to start your career. Samtech.edu, sponsor of the Samtech Factory Stock Showdown. How cool is that? And their cars are not sponsored cars. Their cars are the curriculum. You can get in there and work on actual race cars. And thanks to the folks at Samtech for supporting WFO Radio. Speaking of school, someone who is in school and taking people to school, joining us now, he is the youngest winner in NHRA Mellow Yellow Drag Racing history, Tanner Gray. Tanner, welcome back to WFO. How are you?
Good. How are you guys?
Great. Congratulations. So we had you on a few weeks ago. We talked about when would it be that we would have you back. 4 races in, you're back as a winner. Did you expect it would come this quickly?
I don't know if really anybody expected it to come this early on. I mean, we had goals to win the first race that we ever raced in, and that didn't happen. So I never really thought about it again after that. I mean, obviously we're always there to win, but I never knew if it would come this early, you know?
Well, if you can't win the first one, then what's the difference between second, third, fourth? It's still all great. And the youngest winner ever,
yes, sir.
supplanting Jeb Allen. Did you know about Jeb Allen prior to taking over that accolade?
No, I had no idea. I was under the understanding that even if I was 18 and won, I was still the youngest winner. So I never really was stressing too much about it. But then after the race, they told me it was 18 and 1 month or something like that. So yeah, we ended up cutting it pretty close.
Yes, you've got it. You've got it beaten by a large amount. And I wonder, how long will your record hold? I know that's not something that really you can control, but we do have a new generation of young drivers all coming up, and I think you're paving the way. Maybe many people thought someone at your age couldn't handle a pro stock car. You're showing them otherwise. You're handling that car very well.
Yeah, no, I mean, all the guys have made it pretty easy for me to get in and learn to drive that car, especially with Dave and my dad and my grandpa all there. The learning curve hasn't been quite as steep as I think it would be for someone else that was to get in it. And then with the quality of guys we got at the shop, it's definitely making it a lot easier.
So let's go back to Gainesville, because I think every great success is built on the strength of a failure, some learning experience that helped you advance. It's been said many times, we learn more from our mistakes or from losing than we do from winning, because you do everything right when you win. You just kind of stay the course. Gainesville, you had a problem. We saw you were on the starting line, disappointed, dealing with the moment, but immediately come right back and are able to go through the rounds. We're going to go through your round by round and talk about each race, but how did that negative experience help you achieve this positive experience?
I think it just gives you motivation to go back and do better. We tested after Gainesville, and I think that definitely helped get that mistake out of my head, because once you go up there and double clutch it, the next time you go up there, that's all you're thinking about is not doing that again. So we went and tested Monday after Gainesville, and we made 6 to 8 runs somewhere in there, and we tested really well. Dave found some stuff in the car, and I just worked on my driving, and I think we got everything kind of fine-tuned for Vegas. We went to Vegas, and everything kind of fell our way.
Number 5 qualifier, first round, you had to go up against Derek Kramer. Derek knew he was at a performance disadvantage, took a shot at the tree, 013 red, but you were 23, 666.5, 206. Most people say first round is the toughest round as far as nerves and just, dealing with not wanting to waste a weekend and go home first round. Do you feel that same way?
Yeah, absolutely. I think almost every driver does. First round's not a very fun round for me. I'm always pretty nervous before it, and I go up there and try to do everything the best I can, and hopefully make no mistakes and get the win.
Absolutely. Hey, there's a Grayism right there. I love it. Your grandfather Johnny, your dad Shane, they're so proud of what's going on out there, and Johnny is like giving your dad like a little fun, a little trouble about being nervous about you on the track because he felt that experience. It must be really cool to make your father and grandfather so proud and so happy in a sport that they are so passionate about.
Yeah, no, it's really cool, especially since I think everybody that has raced in my family's got to win in the Mellow Yellow Series. So I think that's really cool to go out there and to be able to kind of follow in their footsteps and do what they've done, and especially to do it at a young age. It makes it really cool.
Yeah, I heard that was a great stat that you guys had to be the first to 3 generations of Wally winners. At some point later on in the year, your grandfather said it was going to be at the U.S. Nationals, but your dad told me it might be sooner than that you guys were going to try to be the first 3 generations to run in the same race at the same time. That will be exciting whenever it happens.
Yeah, no, I think that'll be really cool. I'm really excited for whenever that race is for that to happen. I think it'll be a really cool deal. And I told Dave and my dad last night at dinner, I said I thought it'd be really cool if when he raced, he picked up the win too. So we get 3 generations to win all in the same year. So.
Wow, hadn't thought about that. And with the 4 wide coming up, your dad had said maybe 4 wide. Your grandfather had said definitely the U.S. Nationals. But I can't help but think, no 3 generations have all been on the track at the same time. That is possible at the 4 wide. Talk about interesting family ties in the world of drag racing. Let's go to second round. Greg Anderson, the KB cars. You guys are in the same region. I know that at the track, the families, you guys hang out, while at the same time there is a great rivalry. How is it different now that you as a young driver get a chance to go out there and to unleash on Greg Anderson as a fellow competitor? No longer is he this, drag racer champion guy. He is a fellow competitor, and you uncorked a 001 and outran him on the track. Just tell me about preparing for that run and how satisfying it is to get that win.
It was really cool. Obviously when you go up against the KB cars, you know that they're going to be pretty fast. And, the last few times I've ran Greg, or the last time I ran Greg, he stepped it up on a tree against me. So I knew I was going to have to be pretty good up there. And, I felt like I cracked it pretty good. I didn't think I hit the tree that good, but, we made some adjustments to my clutch linkage before we went up there and sped it up a little bit. So, I think everything happened just right. And then, Dave made a really good call on the car, and we outran him. I think that's a big accomplishment itself. When you can go out there and outrun the KB cars, you're doing something right.
How do you, and this might be a weird question, I don't know, but you're 17 years old, and so I know that there is always a respect for elders kind of thing. These guys that you have seen and been around, and they're peers to your father and grandfather and out there. But like, is he, are these guys you're racing? Do you call them by their first name? Do you call how are you finding your way in the world now that you are just another competitor, not not a young guy out there who is amongst competitors? You are a peer to these pro stock racers.
Right. With Greg and Jason, I think it's different because I've grown up around them, and they've kind of always been around at my house, so it's different. I still kind of just see them as Greg and Jason. Everybody else, I don't know. I've never really thought about it. When I go to the racetrack, I don't really find anybody as my friend, and I want to go up there and beat them. So, I've never really thought about it.
Very good. That's probably a good thing. So in the semifinals, when you're going up against your second Summit car in a row, Jason Line, you're off the starting line first, 37 light, your worst of the day, which is really good to have that be the bar of your worst light. 669, you drive away. He was 60 with a 6703, and now you're going to the final round. The satisfaction of beating both Summit cars back-to-back, but setting up a final round appearance against a KB car in Bo Butner, who is as hungry as you are for that win.
Yeah, no, I was really excited to win that round against Jason. To go up there and outrun both of the Summit cars is a really cool deal. And for some reason, whatever the case may be, I've kind of struggled on the tree against Jason the last few times I've ran him. And so I knew I was going to go up there and have to be good, because I think last time I ran him, I was 20-something to his 50 and lost. But, so I knew I was going to have to be good on the tree. And, I guess that wasn't the case. Dave gave me a really good car, and we just made some really good runs all day in Vegas, and I think that's why we ended up in the winner's circle.
Final round against Bo Butner. You won on a hole shot. You had a great 10 reaction time, and that'll get the job done a whole lot. He was a bit late, 88. Did you feel it immediately that you put a half car on him? And what is that sensation like where you are, you've got it? You just got to execute the shifts and get down the track. Was there a feeling of, oh boy, this is in the bag. Don't just get the job done, and you've got your first win?
No, not quite, because when I let go, we kind of staged in on top of each other, and I let go, and I knew I hit the tree pretty good. But I've in the previous races, I've had kind of a problem with looking over, and maybe hit the chip or pulling it low. So I was just really focused on making sure I hit my shifts and keeping the car straight. When I put her in high gear and I didn't see him over there, I felt pretty good. I knew that we probably had him, and when I seen the light come on, I was pretty happy.
When light comes on, exactly. Take me through that moment. You've dreamed about it since you were 10 years old. You've seen your dad, you've seen your grandfather, you've seen people around the track win the Wally, how excited they got. Now you have won a Wally for yourself, and you're in the shutdown area, and it's quiet, and relatively quiet, and you're making the turn, and people are pointing at you, and the moment that you dreamed about has happened. How do you feel at that moment?
I don't know. I don't know. Excited, I guess. It was one of those deals where I just couldn't believe that I had won and won that early on. And, I was just very thankful to be there. And, I was very proud of all the guys. They had done a really good job on the car that weekend. And they, we kind of struggled with the car at the beginning of the season. And we've just been testing a lot and making small gains on it. And, when we got to Vegas, everything was just kind of going our way, and the car was making really nice runs, and Dave was doing a very good job tuning the car, and I was doing a good job driving. So it was just really cool to do that, and it was a really exciting moment.
How did you celebrate? You're in Vegas, but you're 17, so that kind of puts a little bit of a damper on the party. But what did you what did you guys do to celebrate this first Wally? And I know that you are, you're still in school and you're finishing up. You have other very important responsibilities you have to take care of. So what happened after the race?
I went to bed. I was tired. I think the team kind of stayed out a little bit, but I went up to bed. I was worn out.
Well, it is a long day. It's a tough day, and maintaining your focus over many rounds, over many hours is a great challenge. Now, as the youngest winner, I can't help but think about young people who are watching drag racing. And for whatever reason, I've referenced it with my nephew, who is, he was like 3 years old. He picked Joey Logano out of nowhere and as his NASCAR driver. And it occurred to us, well, like kids like watching kids. There it is. They see themselves. They see themselves out there on the track. And I can't help but think that so many young people who are watching drag racing, maybe for the first time, they see you out there, you're holding the Wally, you're driving the car, you're racing against these guys, many of whom are legends in the sport, and you're beating them, that there might be a whole new fan base of young, kids who are younger than you looking up to you as their guy, someone they can relate to. That's got to be exciting.
Yeah, no, it's really cool. I think it'd be really cool if we could get maybe a younger generation in this sport, because this is a really cool sport. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to learn about the cars, and it's a very sophisticated sport. And I think it just needs some more excitement in it. I think that we might need to do a better job showing pro stock and maybe we just need more excitement in the class. I think they did a really good job this weekend of showing the class and just kind of showing everything. I think they need to start interviewing the losers and just taking the good with the bad. I think it just needs more excitement overall.
I like that you're thinking about that. So you went back and checked out the broadcast.
Yeah. I went back and looked at it all just to kind of watch and look and see how everything went. And I think Fox did a way better job televising the show this weekend. They showed the burnouts. They interviewed some of the losers. I mean, just overall, even with the fuel cars, I think it was a better show, and I think it played off. You look on social media, and everybody was talking about how great the show was this weekend. And, I think it definitely shows.
Well, that I agree. And the excitement aspect, you guys are doing your part. You're doing your part. You keep winning, you lose. You deal with the positivity. You deal with the negativity. You put it out there. You be real. And the fans will come. I think so. So you got a couple weeks now. What are you going to do with it between now and Houston? Is it school? Is it work? Is it work on the car? How are you you're gonna be the most recent winner for several weeks?
Yeah, I just gotta get caught up on some schooling, and I'm actually gonna race tomorrow night. I race at Millbridge Speedway again in my go-kart, so I'm gonna get that ready today and go out there and run some dirt racing and just enjoy it.
There you go, Tanner. Congratulations, first win Such a great moment, such a big thing for the sport of NHRA drag racing. You have had a lot of buzz around you, people talking about you, certainly your family, and you delivered. You have delivered. You're a winner, and 4 races in, you're a great story. And thank you for making the time, coming on WFO Radio and sharing it with our audience. I see they've already been tweeting at you and about you, so that is a good thing that you got one on the scoreboard, and I'm sure many more to come.
Yes, sir. Thank you guys for having me.
Tanner Gray with us here on WFO Radio, the youngest winner in NHRA Mellow Yellow drag racing history. And I really like and appreciate the fact that he's thinking about the future of the sport, what it needs, watching the broadcast. Yeah, I know he won, so he wants to go back and see how it was portrayed. But I really agree with a couple of different strategies, and one is new, fresh faces. The people who have been around forever, we have had our fun, and we appreciate it. We've seen everything, and we've done everything. How do you get new people in? And the answer is with new people. Kids like watching kids. And Tanner's 17. He's a young man now. But if you're 10 years old, he's only 7 years older than you, so you can relate and in many ways aspire to be him. So if you want to get the 8 to 10-year-old fan who is going to, in 10 years, become a diehard fan, and in 20 years, hopefully be spending a lot of money in this sport, you've got to start with young people. You always have to have a constant refresh of your talent, new talent coming in. And another thing that people don't realize is, yes, we want to get younger, but younger people don't have money. They don't have lots of money. Their parents have money. They tell their parents, hey, bring me someplace, and their parents bring them. But maybe they don't have the money, but they will. They're going to go to work. They're going to earn a living. They're going to get stressed out. They're going to want to do something for fun. They're going to want to come to the drag races. They're going to want to hang out with all the cool people out at the drag races. Everybody that goes does. It's just the challenge of drag racing, getting people to come out 1 time, 2 times. Next thing you know, they're like my great friends who are out there at every national event. And I see them at every national event, and they're there every time. And I'm like, hey, you guys are here. And they're like, yes, because this is what we love. We love coming out and being out here. That's the sport of drag racing. How do we get the word out about that? Well, you got to start off with some young people, like I started off at 7 years old. And look, I'm still here. But now I'm old. We need new 7-year-olds starting out. And I see them out there, and they're going to go through their process, and they're going to get into different things in high school, and maybe they're going to leave, and maybe we'll have to reignite the connection they had when they were kids, or maybe they'll come back when they have a job, when they're making money, when they have some money saved up, maybe when they have a kid, they'll come back. But you have to start young. And I think Tanner Gray is great for the sport. He's got to win. He's obviously got a good head on his shoulders. His grandfather and dad are good people. His mom got some great TV time. I should have asked him about that. What did you think about your ma being on TV? That is so cool. And I think it's a good thing for the sport. Win, lose, or draw. We're going to watch Tanner Gray go through his drag racing career. And who knows what lies in that young man's future. Well, there you go, folks. WFO Radio NHRA Nitro. In the books, Winner's Edition, DENSO Sparkplugs NHRA Nationals, Vegas, baby, Vegas. Sad to leave Vegas. But on to the next one in a couple of weeks. Be headed out there to Houston, and I will be back at the track, which I'm very excited about that. I will be back in Houston, and I'll be in Atlanta, and I'll be out there at ZMAX, and I'll be at all these races. Hopefully you'll be there, and you'll yell, WFO, and I'll be there. In the meantime, check out our Ignition show. We started up that Patreon page. It's something I'm going to talk about a little bit here. It's basically, you got to listen to Ignition. It's basically, if you really like the show, you can support us directly. And we're going to do special content for the people that support us directly. So you'll get something extra. But Nitro and Ignition, we're going to keep doing that show exactly as they are, backed by our great sponsors, Sam Tech and Racer Supply Store, Race Day Score, Drag Racing Edge, Extreme Velocity 3, of course, Best of Texas Barbecue Sauce, Rodak, Marvin Rodak, come on. The AAA Texas Fall Nationals Thursday night from 6 to 10. Am I going to over-promote that? Am I going to make that out of control, where everybody is coming in from all over the country to be a part of the big Rodax live event? Thursday night, 6 to 10 before the AAA Texas Fall Nationals? Maybe. And, of course, Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School. It has been fun, but the season for me is really about to get started. If you've got a subject or a topic that you want covered, discussed, drilled down upon, the layers unfolded, email me, joe@WFORadio.com. NHRA Field of Power, one of the Twitter followers out there, and I know exactly who she is. She tweets, when are you going to talk to the fans about what they think about their favorite drivers? And I think there's a little bit of a misunderstanding. Anytime you want. Call the wide open line, 954-889-6796. Maybe you've got a question for Reinhardt. Yeah, my name is Roger. My question for Alan Reinhardt is about the parachutes. Why do they use parachutes? Thanks a lot, WFO. And that's what you do. You record it. I can't be here to answer your phone call like all day long. We have voicemails for this kind of stuff, and I'll play it back on the show. Well, that is true for your calls about your favorite driver. Yeah, this is NHRA Field of Power on Twitter, and I just want to say my favorite driver is this person, and I think they're great. And we're going to use that. You got to say WFO at the end. We're going to use that. The wide open line is always wide open. You can call and record something. Man, I saw this on the broadcast. I didn't like it. I didn't think it was cool. That guy, I don't like him. That's cool. We want that. It is for fan feedback. Some of our fans, they don't like the idea of talking to a voicemail. They want to take 2 takes. Guess what? I will always use the best one. I will make you sound good. I'm not going to make you like, oh, man, this guy sounded terrible. That's the one I'm going to use. No way. I'm going to always make you guys sound good. So 954-889-6796, WFO Radio. If you're using Skype, you can Skype to Skype, or you can always call me on the Ignition Show, which we do take live phone calls on that program. All right, everybody. Big thanks to Alan Reinhardt and the live sound effects. That was cool. Big thanks to Tanner Gray, Tommy Johnson, and Antron Brown, new co-host of Top Gear America on BBC. That's a big deal. That is a big deal. We might have some Top Gear files. Check out WFO just to learn about Antron Brown. That's the kind of big move it is. Thanks to everyone. Thank you, guys. Subscribe. Tell everybody about the show. That's it. We got to grow the audience. We got to make a move. And we've got several races coming up we're going to be at. We're going to have a whole lot of fun. Hopefully you are ready. We'll see you next time right here on WFO Radio.
WFO! The views and opinions of the hosts, guests, or callers do not necessarily reflect that of the station ownership, advertisers, or agencies.
I love WFO Radio.
That was terrible!
Horrendous!
I'm offended!
I'm appalled!
So what are we going to do?
What else? Email it to everybody we know!
Good idea.
WFO Radio is brought to you in part by Best of Texas Barbecue Sauce. Buy it online. BestOfTexasBBQSauce.com. RodaxCoffeeandGrills.com.